Hi everyone, I'm Bhavani. I work as lead developer in test in one of the software firms in London. And today I'm going to explain you how to use REST assured framework to do API testing automation. So in our last tutorial, we have already seen how to use Cucumber, and today's REST assured framework is also based of Cucumber. So in this tutorial, I have chosen a open source API to do the automation bit. So I'm going to share my screen now. Let me open Postman as well. Okay, Postman is opening. So I'm going to show you what is the API that I have chosen and how it works, and then we can get into the automation details of it. So this is the REST API I have chosen. This is Open API from Rapid API. You can all register and try to do a get call on this. So you can see I made a get call here, and with headers being Rapid API host and Rapid API key, and I got back the response, which is list of countries. So in you can see there are like several countries in this list. First one is Afghanistan, and then some islands, and then Algeria. All these countries list. So in this tutorial, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a REST call to this API and extract the response and verify that Vietnam is present in the list. So let's get into the automation details now. So first thing is I have defined two new dependencies which are adding to our previous tutorial, which is rest assured and Jackson. So rest assured is obviously we are going to use to make a call to REST API and extract the response. And Jackson is my parser. So whatever I'm going to get back from the application, I'm going to um, uh, convert them into the POJOs to achieve my assertions. So first thing is I will start with the feature file. So I'm going to name it as getCountries.feature. So I'm going to explain what my feature is about. Given I have API headers, when I get countries, then I verify why that list of countries is available in response. Okay, so my scenario is basically to verify that Vietnam exists in the response given by the application. So the scenario is when I get countries, I verify that Vietnam exists in the response. So given I have API headers, when I say API headers, I need to get those headers from the Postman. So you can see there are two headers here. So I'm going to pass them via the feature file as a data table. Okay. So I passed the headers as a data table, and in the next step, I'm going to make the REST call to the API, and then I verify Vietnam exists in the response. So now I am ready with the feature file. I want to generate my steps. I'll click on the bulb symbol. Oh, yeah, I click on the bulb symbol and create all step definitions and choose a new file, and I'm going to call it as get country steps. I'm going to use Java, normal Java. and then press OK. So now you have get country steps, but where is it? It's somewhere here, but you want that in your steps package. So move that get country steps to the package. So now you have API headers and you are passing them as a data table. So just try to get it as a data table, and um, now I'm going to convert data table as map and going to store my headers in the map. So both are strings, key and value from the feature file, both are strings. You can see Rapid API host and the string. And so I'm going to convert that as map and string dot class. Okay, so now I have my headers converted into a map, but to be able to use those headers in my next step, when I try to make a get call, I need to save them in the test context. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a get countries test context. So in this get countries test context, I'm obviously going to annotate this with the Lombok data and scenario scope, because I want these headers to be available throughout the scenario. And also instead of defining getters and setters, you can just make use of a data annotation. So in this I want the headers to be stored, so I'm just declaring a map and say these are my headers. So I'm going back to get country steps and inject my test context here. Get test countries context, and in that get countries test context, I'm going to save my headers. Okay, so now I have the headers saved. Now the next bit comes to making a get call to the REST API. So for that, I need to make a REST util where I can make use of rest assured to make a get call to the API that I have shown. So I'm going to create REST assured util class, and then here I'm going to import rest assured static dependency for given io.restassured.given. Now I'm going to define a static method here to send a get request. So this send get request method is going to extract the response from the application and return it as a rest assured response. So let's go into the method. So whenever you make use of rest assured, it is also in given when then format. Given you have some headers, host and path, and then you make a get call and then extract the response. So you can read the code very easily. And also whenever you are trying to make a utility method, you need to make sure the same method gets reusable everywhere. So I'm going to parameterize this send get request and pass host path. And so you can see here I have a host, I have path as all, and then I have headers. So I need to parameterize all those three so that the same method can be reused for different calls. So I have host, I have path, and then my headers are in the form of map. So I'm going to pass a map here. Okay, cool. So now I have the method. Now I'm going to make use of rest assured. Given I have host has to be passed on to base URI, and path has to be passed on to base path, and headers has to be passed on to headers method, and dot, you're making a get call. If you're making other calls, you have other methods as well, like post, put, and so on. So but in this tutorial I'm going to use get, and then, so after you make a get call, then you need to extract the response. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to return this whole thing. So this is going to return me a response object. So that is the return type as response object. So now we are done with utility method. Let's go back to get country steps now. So now, so I can make use of rest assured util, because I have defined send get request as a static method. So I can make use of it with the class name directly. So I'm going to declare my host private static final string host, and normally all your final variables should be caps. So that's the convention. I need to get the host from Postman because I don't have it. And copy everything, and so this is my host. Up to .com is my host, and I'm going to define the path final string path equal to /all. So that's my path. I have host and path, and I have headers. So now I can make a get request. So I'll pass my host and path, and get countries context dot get headers, and it is going to return a response object to me. So I'm going to save it into response variable, and then I want to save this response so that I could make use of that response in this step. So I'm going back to the test context and defining HTTP response so that I can save the response into this HTTP response. So now I'm going to set HTTP response and pass response into that so that I have my response available in test context. So to be able to use in this step, I want to convert my response into a POJO. So for that, I have already created a country class. I can create it again so that you will know what's going on from the beginning. So I'm going to create a country POJO because you have seen the response from the postman. It has list of countries. So I'm going to define country so that each country has name and several things. So let me check what it has. So it has name, top level domain alpha 2 and a few things. So I'm going to take name and alpha 3 code and define only those variables and ignore all other things for now, for this tutorial. So private string name and private string alpha 3 code. So you are going to make use of this country class as your POJO, and so just annotate that with scenario scoped and data as we do for all POJOs. And because in the response you can see there are so many attributes in the JSON, but you are not making use of everything. So you need to annotate this class with at JSON ignore properties and ignore ignore unknown equal to true. Okay, so now in the get countries test context, I'm going to define a method to return the response body as array of countries. Maybe I can define it as, okay, so let me define another variable called countries. so which is array of countries. So get countries, and then I'm going to use object mapper from Jackson parser and parse my response into the Pojo. So object mapper, new object mapper, and then I'm going to define, okay, so countries equal to mapper dot read value, and I'm going to pass my HTTP response because that's what I wanted to convert. HTTP response dot get body dot as string, comma, my Pojo class is array of countries dot class. So I'm going to surround this with try and catch and return countries. Okay. So I have get countries defined here. Let me, why is it showing error? I need to have semicolon there. Let me go back to get country steps. And so here I have to get the list of countries and assert that Vietnam is existing in my list of countries. So I'm going to parameterize the country name because I should be able to use this step for any country. So I don't want to hard code the country name. Okay, so now I have parameterized the country name. Now inside my test context, I have another, is it my test context? Oh, I should be defining this as public. And in the test context, I have get countries, which is going to return me the array of countries. So I'm going to convert this into a list. So I get it as list of country, countries equal to. Okay, so I got the response into list of countries. Now what I need to do, I need to go through the whole list and check whether a country name called Vietnam exists or not. So I'm going to use Java 8 here and use streams and filters. So I'm going to filter a country which, no, country dot get name dot equals the expected country name that we are passing in from the feature file dot find first. So this is going to do the filtering for me and filter only the country that has the country name as Vietnam. Vietnam is being passed from the feature file, you can see here. So now this find first is going to return me optional of country. So optional is basically used to avoid any null pointer exceptions in case if you don't have any the country that has Vietnam as its name, then it's going to return the empty object into optional. And when you try to, so then you can try to assert that whether your country is present or not. So let's see how I can assert. I need to import arc.junit. I'm going to use junit assertions here. It needs to be static. Assert true. So in our last tutorial, I have already mentioned how to use assert true. So assert true for failure, I need to have a descriptive message. I'll say that country with name and my country name plus doesn't exist in the list of countries returned by application, comma, and my assertion goes here. So country optional dot is present. So I want that country to be present. So is present is a boolean value. If the country is actually present, then it's going to return true, otherwise false. So this assertion will fail if the country doesn't exist. So let's try to run the feature file now, because we have completed asserting. So don't worry about the code. I'm going to check in everything into GitHub at the end of the tutorial and mention the link on the video. So you can see the test is passed because Vietnam exists. So now I'm going to pass a dummy name and see if that still passes. That shouldn't pass actually. So now you can see country with name DFF doesn't exist in the list of countries returned by the application. So your code is working fine. I just want to show you one more thing. I want to print all the response object that's returned by the application. Dot pretty print, so that you will see that it is actually making a call to the REST endpoint and then getting the response. Okay, that's good. So it's hitting the REST endpoint and getting the response. And also in our next tutorial, we are going to learn how we can use logging filters on the REST assured, so that you can see what's going on with your API. So whether you are making a get call or post call, everything will be shown in the logs, in the run logs. You can see the host path headers and the response returned by the application. Everything can be seen. And also if you prefer to see only error logging, then you can have error filters. If you prefer to see everything, then you can have everything logged. So those things we are going to see in the next tutorial. And also in the next tutorial, I'm going to show you how we can use property files to load your host and other properties. Because when you are automating something, that means whenever your app service gets deployed onto different environments, you should be able to run your automation tests. To be able to do that, you need to maintain different property files for your environments, because your REST API service host will be different for every environment. So I'm going to show how to use the property files to load your properties. Hope you enjoyed this session. Thank you so much. Bye for now.